Hello and welcome to Game Soup with Chloe and Kayla. This is a new era of a game design podcast where we throw ideas in a pot and see what's cooking because our connection may finally not be shit.
We
Mine's
must
good
hope.
now. How's yours doing?
It's mine's been as fine as it has been for the last 2 years. So
Yeah, that's true. I mean, it got worse since we moved, though. Obviously, like, Riverside could be annoying anyway. But yeah, it's a new era now.
hopefully,
after maybe like an interlude era of like really bad connection, and then before that was our regular era of like okay connection. How I am also sitting here with new internet, with windows in my bedroom that close again, and with a funded backer kit campaign. Mecrida has crossed its initial funding goal, so we're now just doing stretch goals and stuff. So I'm feeling good. I'm feeling
yay!
alive.
Yeah, I know you were worried about it being like the last one to fund the thing, but I think it's because it's more of a niche thing rather than here is an adventure for Mouse Versa. It's like no, this is like a full thing.
I disagree with it being any more niche. I think we just were the last one to fund because we had like a higher goal than
Oh, well, there you go then.
most, not all, but most other things because there's like four of us, so we needed to split more money around. I was like, I wasn't worried about it in a sense of like, I'm worried this means we won't fund. It's a thing that is annoying to have hanging over you,
Yeah.
but I didn't feel in suspense about it. But I am excited to have funded. I'm excited that this is now fully happening. I don't know if I've mentioned, but if you go on like the add-ons page for the Mech Ritter campaign, like we all put a bunch of our stuff up there, partly because it's like, to some extent a new audience or like sharing of other audiences. So I have like the Out of the Fold collection. I also have the I'm with the Damned collection, which is currently basically the only way you can pre-order that before Dragon Meet at the end of the month when I should have a physical thing. You also have Psycho Dungeon up, and then there's Scenes of Lorries and 2 PDF Mouse Rider Adventures of Gustavo from Gustavo. How's your week been, Chloe?
Honestly, I can't remember much of it. I know that I had work and that I had to change a tire on the car, but apart from that, honestly, it's been nothing. I've been having lots of naps. Naps are nice. I think I had one upside down on the sofa yesterday by accident. So, yeah,
Oh, that means your brain should be firing on 100% now. It's all full up of extra blood.
yeah, that's how it works. That's why my feet are tingly. I've started wearing Christmas jumpers, even though it's not near even Advent. So yeah, I've decided
No,
I
that's
am.
very early. We're still in the first half of
No, I'm
November.
officially in. I'm in the camp of Christmas is a feeling. I've become a side character in a Christmas movie. Yeah, I don't know. I'm normally like one for like leaving it to like the first weekend of December, but it's like, yeah, we're not going to Dragon Maid this year, so I can just do whatever I want.
Back yourself, Chloe. You could be a love interest in a shitty Christmas movie.
Oh, but I already have a lot of interest. I don't need a new one. I don't need any more complications in my
Fair.
life.
Just need one love and Christmas.
And Christmas. So our first game is
I think
a Hallmark movie called A Christmas Swinger, in which you...
this is awful.
No, it's nothing. Okay.
I had a game idea I could run us through. I was just going to say, I feel like I'm not yet like, I'm excited about my Christmas plans, but I don't yet consider us to be in Christmas. Partly because if I consider us to be in Christmas, I have to acknowledge I've done no preparation yet. So if I can just be like, Christmas hasn't started yet, I'm on
I
top
know.
of things.
I've bought multiple presents and I've planned out presents for people that I don't have like concrete ideas for getting for them. So like I'm solidly on my game. If I had more than £10 in my bank account, I would have bought all my Christmas presents yet already.
I have been practicing idle dreaming when it comes to thinking of Christmas ideas. That's my progress, and that's fine because in my mind, I've not put on my Christmas jumpers. Not that I wear Christmas jumpers anyway, because they're mainly wool, and also I don't own many jumpers that are actually a very limited period of Christmas wear. But anyway, enough about Christmas and the celebrations. We should talk instead about the person Christmas was there to celebrate, Godzilla. No, but I watched the original Godzilla recently. Have you ever seen? How many Godzillas have you seen?
I want to say zero.
I didn't know
That's
if
not
you'd have
it.
seen any of the Godzilla X Kongs.
No, I've not seen any of them. I know they'd be doing like the new ones, like you're saying, but no, I've never really been like I've never seen them. The closest I get is like giant robot stuff, but that doesn't really count. So I don't really know anything about
So yeah,
Godzilla.
your
So
I
you'll have
guess
to
your
walk me into
main
this one.
yeah. So your main genre exposure is kind of like giant monsters for as supporting characters in mech thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. I watched the original Godzilla. I think it really holds up. I also watched the original Night of the Living Dead, which I was also like, this really holds up. This is like a week ago. I was just doing some like watching because I realized recently, this year, I think my numbers might be off now, but I got to a point where I'd read more books than watched films, and I was like, ooh, I got to fix that. And now I'm like, or I could try and tie it and end the year having watched as many of both.
See, I
Which would
think
be a
having
fun
read more
twirl.
books than watched films feels like an achievement to me because could not name more than 5 books I've read this year.
I have read 22 or 23 books this year and have watched 22 or 23 films this year. I think
Hang on, I'm
maybe
loading
now
up
those
my
numbers are slightly
letterbox.
askew.
I've watched 35 movies this year.
See, now that's a good number of movies to have seen this year. I am slacking since my local council shut down the only cinema in my borough, which I've been
Oh
really
well.
opaque by, in spite of the fact that you could Google what's the one London borough without a cinema and you'll learn it's Lewisham, the fictionalized setting of Mech Ritter. But when watching the original Godzilla, so I'll explain a bit about like the plot of it. Is like it starts with attacks on like fishing boats, where we're only seeing like tiny bits of like initially sort of wreckage, and then gradually we're seeing like with more of these attacks, more of Godzilla, and we're getting people who are going to the side of attacks and looking at things there and sort of, suggesting theories about what they think this thing is that they haven't fully seen yet. They're like, oh, well, this local people on this island have this myth of Godzilla. That's where like the name comes from in the story. They're also like, oh, we found this tick that was left by the creature that is like the size of a large fist. These kind of ticks have been extinct since the Cretaceous period, so we must be aware that like this creature is coming from there. Another point, they're like, oh, there's like all of these traces of radiation. And like then I think it's maybe after one of the like attacks where we do see more of the Godzilla, but we don't see him do the radioactive breath yet at this point. Like there's even a whole press conference bit. Well, not actually a press conference, it's a bit of them talking to I guess like a government cabinet or something. Where they're
Yeah.
like, yep, this is our current theory on what Godzilla is. And then Godzilla's showing up and it's then large amounts of like, oh man, Godzilla's fucking everything up. And then it's also a guy who's like, I think I know how to kill Godzilla, but I think I'd have to kill myself on principle if I did it. I'm
Valid.
simplifying. It's a it's a good, but what that whole arc was making me go is like, oh, there's, and what I messaged to you is like, oh, I think there's a fun quantum kaiju game, which does sound very cool just as a phrase, but not necessarily like, but I'm using that
It
more in, I
means
guess, a game
nothing.
design sense where it's like, yeah, it sounds like it could be some kind of like slug blaster esque um 90s thing. I almost mispronounced Slug Blaster and said Slug Bastard, which is an entirely different kind of game. But what I meant there is like in a sort of like maybe a Brindlewood Bay or other
That's
kind
literally
of
what I was thinking as you were like
uh
explaining the plot of Godzilla.
Loch
I was
Riders.
like, if I was making this, it would be Vindalwood Bay.
I don't think it would entirely be Brindlewood Bay, but like taking some of that like influence of thing of like, oh yeah, I think you don't have a monster in mind, or like Lovecraft esque or other things. I think
Yeah,
of this. You
Lovecraft-esque,
don't have a
yeah.
monster in mind. You're doing these initial scenes where you are then like making theories and suggesting what you think this monster is, and that is how the monster is built up. And also, then that's allowing you to really shift stuff about the story. Like, if someone makes investigation and they are making posing this theory of like, okay, we think like nuclear testing woke up Godzilla. It's like, okay, this is a story about woke up our giant monster. Like, oh, okay, this is a story about um nuclear testing and stuff. But if someone's like, oh yeah, I think this must have been like frozen in the ice and has been melted by global warming, it's like, oh, okay,
Yeah.
this is what the story's about. Or if you're like, it's because of like fracking woke it up, you're suddenly telling all these different things. You could even then go in different environmental. Oh, you could go away from that concern if you wanted to be like, oh well, like I'm supposing about this myth where like this giant monster always sort of emerges when there's a mass mistreatment of women, and it's like I'm phrasing a giant monster story about that. So I'm kind of imagining it's maybe a bit of a mashup of like some of the stuff I did in like Fear the Taste of Blood, which was influenced by like Anyone Can Wear the Mask and Beyond the Rift. I think there'd be like a multiple characters who are all getting to be the investigating people, looking for the weakness. Because I think that's also it, as well as like the arc of a Fear the Taste of Blood game. There's kind of an element of like trying to find, as well as trying to survive the attacks of that monster, you're trying to find their weakness. I think that would be the arc for this game as well. But
Yeah.
also combining with that with some kind of like world building, quantum investigating thing to define what this creature is.
No, I like this. And like you could it doesn't have to just be like giant monsters, it could be like cryptids or spirits or whatever. I
Now I
like
think
it.
this game has to be giant monsters,
Okay. But then we could
but I
easily
think
have
you could
like
use a
expansions and
similar
spin-offs
style.
to yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's quite like Fear the Taste of Blood already, but would be different. And I almost imagine it would probably be in a. You could then do similar games to do that, because Fear the Taste of Blood is obviously like it's adapted from Anyone Can Wear the Mask. There it came with its own like horror shows, which were pre-written monsters. You could absolutely do the same for here, pre-written giant monsters. But also, yeah, you could maybe like do a hack adaptation of it where you change the focus away from like giant monsters to something else, like you're saying, like cryptids. In kind of the same way, like Montford Press had like Dead Letter Society, and then like the Almanac of Sanguine Paths for like werewolves. I just said werewolves.
Pet werewolves. Oh, 22 into a furry and a full
Werewolves.
moon.
So I think because I'm saying this is almost a Fear the Taste of Blood companion game, I think this has to be something called like Beware the Roar of Kaijus or whatever.
Beware the roar of God. Yeah.
Oh God, Beware the Roar of God sounds more like a biblical horror game.
Well, I don't know. It might be like, oh, the first trumpet has sounded, and you know, whatever. That could be the. that
Yeah, yeah, you could play
could be a thing
your
in the list.
whole
Yeah.
angle there. Well, have you watched any films you want to make into a game lately?
Yeah, I mean, we've been watching the Scream films lately because I'm not much of a horror girly, but I play lots of Dead by Daylight, so I feel like I should be a horror girly. So we've started edging in with Scream, which feels more like a murder mystery, at least the first one, than it is a slasher. But then the second one is absolutely just a slasher. Um, I
It's also got like elements of comedy because it's
yeah,
self meta in that way, right?
it's not as meta. At least the first two. We've only seen the first two, but it's not as meta as people sort of hype it up to be. It's like, oh yeah, there is a film about the events of the first one and the second one, but it's not like, oh well, I know that the killer's going to come from this angle because I've seen Halloween 2 or whatever. It's like they talk about the rules of like horror films, but it's not like these must happen. It's like they're all playing about like, oh, subverting it, whatever. It's very genre savvy, and I quite like it, but it's not as much of a comedy as, say, Scary Movie is.
Yeah, I can see why you feel that was overhyped. I think from my understanding, having admittedly not watched Scream, but knowing many people who really like it, is that that kind of like genre savviness was quite innovative for
Yeah,
the time, even though it's often now a trend event of a lot of kind of like genre movies. Like you see it in things like Shaun of the Dead. That's just on my
Ye-
mind because of Night of the Dead.
it doesn't feel like it's sort of tired or annoyed that it has to play with the genre. It seems fun and like excited to be playing in the genre. So, like, I know there's a lot of like slasher RPGs like Final Girl and Slasher. So I think like a Brindlewood Bay, I'm just on that. It's on the vine now. But a Brindlewood Bay, where you're trying to work out who has done all these murders, but it's very possible that one of your investigators is the murderer, could be fun.
Yeah, I think an interesting thing about Scream as a franchise compared to so many other slasher franchises is that like even though they have like Ghostface as a mascot, that's always a different guy, and the
Yeah,
character the franchise mainly follows until later things is like the final girl, like the survivor character. Whereas like how some Halloweens like H2O and the reboot series bringing back Jamie Lee Curtis try and make her that sort of equivalent, but realistically, that is a franchise that's always followed Michael Myers.
yeah,
Jason and Freddy's franchises follow like those are the guys more than their things. So I'm like, yeah, Scream specifically taking influence from Scream and its I guess focus on like I think a lot of slasher like at least the first time do kind of have a whodunit element. Like not necessarily always so explicitly, but there is when that slasher is first an unknown figure, there is a question of figuring out like who is it. It's I guess whenever a sequel comes that like that has to get lost.
yeah. But it's like they kill the guy in the first one, so it's like a new round of suspects.
I
Um,
like the idea that it could be one of you. Is that like a hidden role thing you're imagining, or is it like you can be playing your character a whole game? Then either like can someone else go, "Oh yeah, I think it's Chloe," and you're like, "I've not been playing it that way, but if you pass this role, it's going to be me."
No, I think it's absolutely not a hidden role game. It's like, okay, so I'm the killer, but I've been playing as the final girl's best friend this whole time, so I have to work out what is my motive for wanting to kill her. Because like everyone has a motive and whatever.
Yeah,
So it's like, why would I want to kill my best friend? Because she's prettier than me, or some bullshit like that. Like,
I think that's definitely with also a young thing. I think like there is actually something interesting about doing a kind of Brindlewood Bay style thing, but you're not on the same page because it does mean your theories are definitely going to be influenced by like societal bullshit and also petty social bullshit. Like it is going
yeah,
to be stuff like, yeah, I'm pitching it's Chloe's character, and it's like, okay, and that's unrelated to the fact that Chloe's character just slept with your girlfriend. That's unrelated that you think it's like, well, that's why my character's accusing her. If I pass this role, she's gonna be fucking right, or maybe
yeah,
it's that maybe you almost do like the kind of instead of the straight Brindlewood role, you do the kind of apocalypse key thing where your role is like about getting into the middle. And it's like I don't know, there's maybe something there. That's fun. I like that. What would you call it?
I think. I mean, they have the name of the movie in the second one is Stab, so that could be cute, but seems very like targetable
I
by
believe very
lawyers.
taken even.
Yeah, and bad for SEO. So I don't know, like it would absolutely be like a
Yeah, I
pastiche of
think
an
it also
existing
depends.
horror thing, but
I
I don't
think
know.
like channeling Scream specifically is there, but also the way you would mimic Scream would be some kind of one word title, which is obviously, like you say, hard for SEO. Like if you're just doing Gasp or Shriek or whatever. Like these are
Yeah, it
good
would be
titles, but like
It would be
you accept.
noun
Maybe you
colon
should.
the horror investigation game or something. Like,
No, I've got a great idea because I think maybe it was not this one, but I know like so the original Scream was directed by Wes Craven,
yeah,
who also did like Nightmare on Elm Street, and I think like one of the Nightmare on Elm Street things he did as a reboot was even titled Wes Craven's New Nightmare. So I think you should title a set like Biscuit Fun's, um, Shriek. It's like
yeah,
they're like the name of the game includes we've put our name in it. It's a fucking like how specifically in the UK, like everyone always says like, oh, the Avengers film was called Avengers Assemble.
Event
You
Assemble.
forget
Yeah,
the post. It was specifically called Marvel's Avengers Assemble.
yeah.
So I think you should call this Biscuit Fun Games Shriek, or even just Chloe Montgomery
Chloe
Shriek.
Montgomery's. Yeah, like a new horror from the mind behind Tournament Arc.
The twisted mind behind Tournament Arc.
like the cover of the book is like a film poster, like a DVD box or something. Like, yeah.
Yeah. I know we're at 22 minutes, so we're probably going to wrap up soon. But I did have one more idea, which I will like pitch here, because the idea was mainly a premise rather than having any game stuff. So maybe it could almost be a teaser. I set out this premise that we could both think on it for a week and think about what we do with the
Okay.
game. I was listening to a recent episode of Party of One, a podcast I recommend. I was listening to the episode playing Time to Drop, which is like a timeless type game, which I've done a hack of before. Time to Drop is really fun. It's also like, but there the heist they created on the episode was set like on a boat. The heist ended with this like exploding, which was a problem, I believe, but I might be misremembering that. And then I was suddenly sort of struck by like, ooh, ordinarily, in time loops, it's like one person remembers it. In Time to Drop, I think like your whole crew remembers it. But then I was like, oh, it would be interesting if there is some kind of like disaster, some kind of setting where it's in a disaster, where you're kind of enclosed, and the time loop is everyone in almost a town knows they're in a time loop and knows that like the time loop ends with like it needs to be something like semi preventable, I think. So it can't just be like, oh, a meteor that you just do not have enough time to escape from, because then that's like a, oh well, there's no escaping from the time loop. But it also can't be something where it's too easy to just leave. But also I think there's a fun fact of like, yeah, you're in time loop town, everyone
Yeah,
here knows it.
yeah. It's like Miss Peregrine's home for whatever it is.
Yeah, I think, and I don't know what the game of this would be. I think that's a fun setting premise immediately, and that's why I like the idea of leaving this as a hook. I don't know whether this would be like the setting for some kind of game,
Yeah.
which is maybe more about like town based, or whether it would be the setup for an escape. You're trying to escape from Time Loop Town or whatever. I think we think on that for a week and try and remember to pick up on it next week. Do you This episode comes out this weekend. We mentioned Dragon Meat offhandedly. I'm going to be there at the end of the month on the 29th, but we've got a couple more episodes till then. Mech Rudder is continuing on back again for the rest of the month until December 4th. So please do check that out. Yeah, anything you want to plug before we skedaddle, Chloe?
No, I'm pretty good. We're still working on Bitter Cold, but
Nice.
that'll take its time.
That's yeah. How's that going? What's been the last thing you've been doing on that?
Well, I was waiting on Alyssa to do some more writing for it, but then I think she wants me to do the layout stuff first so she can write straight into the program, the layout program. So I think she's an evil person. Um,
You know, every time I do see like writing into layout get dissed, I think I don't really do. I occasionally am bad at making tweaks in layout, as in like, oh, I've spotted this typo when I'm in layout, or I'm going to change this paragraph order, and then forgetting to change that back. But I mainly don't write into layout. However, I do make art direct into layout, which I think is maybe more fucked.
eh, I guess because it is your canvas size, the book, so I can see the understandment, but it's like it's so much harder to edit stuff right in the layout than it is in a Google Doc or whatever the fuck.
Yeah, I think I have occasionally written to a size specification. So for like an illustrator's guide to the Dreamlands, which is in the Out of the Fold compilation, because there it's like its structure for its solo format is like each page is a double page spread of art, which I've grabbed from a painting by Kandinsky, and then half of that page has a text box on it. So there, when I was writing, I set my Google Doc thing as like I have A5. This is the font and font size I have. I also modified the margins because like the Google Doc margins are usually quite
Yeah.
um they're a bit wider than Affinity goes. And then I wrote to that, but I didn't write into layout, which is good because like that project I just like stopped writing it for like 2 years and then finished it off in a day. And I do not think I'd have remembered to find where that Affinity file would have been, but I could find the Google Doc. Anyway, thank you for
Thank
listening to the
you.
new era of Game Soup.